Welcome to Game Set Matchup, the podcast where we talk everything partnerships, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Welcome to Game Set Matchup, the podcast where we discuss all things partnerships. I'm your host, Greg Watts, and please welcome our guest today, Nicolas Herranz, Head of Franchise and Introducers from Worldpay. Nicolas, hello and welcome.
Good morning. How are you, Greg?
Good morning. I'm good, thank you. As I mentioned to you a little while ago, I'm trying to keep cool, but you from Bordeaux, being from Bordeaux originally, you're used to this heat, so you're in a much better position. But you're
Yes.
also, but you're also in London as well, aren't you?
Yeah, I've been living in London for a bit more than 10 years now.
Oh,
So,
very good.
yeah. The acclimatation has been done. Yeah.
It's not. Well, London is lovely, but it's not as beautiful as Bordeaux, in my humble opinion.
I still think that London is a wonderful city to live. Yes.
It's not too bad. Well, let's kick off. Well, starting with an overview, an introduction to our guest. Perhaps you can tell our listeners a little bit more about who you are, your background, particularly as a former statistician economist, because you're the first one that's come onto our podcast, which is very exciting. Your current role, and a little bit more about WorldPay.
Yes. Yes, I'm statistician economist, but I've chosen the commercial part, and I prefer to speak with people. So that's why after my uni, I went to commercial banking, and I worked for Société Générale for 10 years. I have to say that I've been extremely lucky in my journey with people that I met, client, partner, but also my different leader that I had across my professional journey, and who had comfort me in the choice that I have done. After I moved to London, and I've been payment director of e-commerce group. So I have been on the other side of the payment provider for 3.5, something like that. And we have built up a payment gateway from scratch. So it was really an exciting time. I got back to the payment provider later on. And now for 5 years, I lead the team at Worldpay, focus on franchise and introducer hearing non-integrated partnership.
Thank you. Well, we're going to learn quite a bit more about you, but thank you for that. But I really want to ask, because I know that our listeners will be particularly keen to hear, how has your approach changed when it comes to creating partnerships over the years? And what does a gold star partnership look like for you?
So there is an evolution, of course. The first one is being open all the time. And I am not someone convinced by Teams and Zoom meeting, to be straightforward. I think that we need to go out, we need to meet people. Always accept to have coffee with someone. You never know where this is going to lead. That is an important point in the way of seeing the partnership. The second one is, what are we looking for in a partnership? Very often, people think about commission scheme, revenue scheme, and is really how do we monetize a partnership? It's true, but it is not only that partnership. Partnership, it's also what someone can bring to our brand and what we can bring to the other brand. Meaning, we have clients, sometimes we can look for another product, and we are able to partner with someone who is going to deliver this product. And maybe these people have clients who are going to look for our product. And here we are creating something, a synergy, real synergy between 2 brands, 3 brands, where we are completing each other regarding product and services. We bring kind of stickiness to our product without talking about commission scheme, revenue, all this kind of stuff. No, we're just building something to complete each other.
I think that's such a good piece of advice. And I think what you're talking about is, how do 2 or more partners come together to make something greater than all of them individually? And as you say, the commercials, of course, they're important, but also the commercials, it might not be the commercial short term that are important, but actually, maybe something longer term. So having an organization like yours, which is behind you, which says, we recognize that this partnership isn't going to deliver profitability or revenue from day one, but actually we recognize that by partnering with this other organization, in 1, 2, 3 years time, we're going to build something bigger together, and as a result we believe in that. And I think that's a really good point that you make, that often I think the difference between a sale and a partnership is that a sale is very much a transaction, a one-off, a short-term thing, but a partnership is something longer term, much more based on relationships, as you say. What do you think?
Is exactly that. And it's like that we have built up the franchise department, because in fact, this point of view, we took it to the franchisor, the brand themselves, to explain that we can bring something in their process, in their customer experience, in the way they want to operationally deploy their brand in the UK, in Ireland, and where do they want to serve them, in fact. And regardless the revenue scheme that most of the time there is not here, it just, we bring them a solution, we make them their life easier. And that's come from this kind of idea.
I'm kind of linked to that, looking at partnerships, because after all, they are the lifeblood of businesses. What's your definition of a business partnership? And you've kind of talked about it, but how do you go about creating them?
So creating them is about a common vision and a common expectation. We need to manage expectations at the beginning. Where's the partner? What are you looking for? What we are looking for? And can we make it happen? And if it happened, are we going to be happy to continue a long term? When a partnership begin by, we are here to build a revenue scheme, straightforward, on the short term, there is something is not going to work on the long term here, because there is product and mainly the client at the end has to be in the middle of the partnership. If you begin to speak more about money than client, something is going to go wrong. Then what it is important is how we are going to deploy. Why? Because each partner can have his own specificity. So you need to have an understanding, how do they work in their process, in their team, to apply that to your process to make it happen rightly, and to make the process smoothly, to make it happen and deliver it. In the same way, the reciprocity is true. They have to understand, how do they work, how do we work, how do we manage their expectation. We are a big company, so we have to maintain that, in the sense of we cannot do tailor-made solution for everybody. Okay, so that has to be understood.
It's really, again, it's such a great point that I think so many people often overlook at the start, which is when you start to create a partnership, from the very beginning, understanding what the partner's objectives are, what do they want to do, what are their goals, and then making sure they understand yours, and then figuring out where there's the commonality and as you say, I haven't had enough coffee. Reciprocity. Merci, exactly. So yes, but starting off with a common set of goals that we both agree on, and as you say, very much 100% focused on the client's needs, and certainly not from the beginning talking about money, but talking about what does the client want, what are their needs, because the money will follow, right? The money always follows, but the money will only follow if one starts with what the client needs and wants.
It's exactly that.
Sorry.
Someone said, do your job well, money will follow.
Yes, I couldn't agree more with that. Yeah, do your job well, build something well, focus on what people want, and then the money will follow. I don't know, I think it must be one of the human conditions that people start with the money rather than having some confidence that the money, of course, it's going to come, but you have to create something or build something that people want to buy. And again, linked to that, for all the partnerships people listening, what advice would you give to your younger self starting out? Perhaps the do's and the don'ts of creating partnerships.
So first one, be open.
Yeah.
Go to event, go to this kind of place where there is a lot of people. Read about it before, go to meet people, discuss with them. Never be scared to stop at a stand, to ask questions, not to get the information to build a partnership, regarding what they do, how do they do it, why do they do it. That is a very important point. Continuously meet people. Really, that is important. Don't stay at home. I don't pay it. That would be my advice. My first advice. Second advice is when you go to the next stage, so when you begin to engage with someone, when you begin to discuss about creating something, have a good understanding about what do they do and how do they do it. That it is very important to make this successful behind. If you don't have an understanding about how do they interact with their client, when do they want to speak about their product to their client, how they are going to propose your services and product to their client. All that is extremely important, the process of generating the leads for each other.
It makes absolute sense. And it's such straightforward advice, which is just get out there, meet people, say yes to that event, just get out, because you can't, I don't think anyway, I don't think you can replicate the human connection and the human interaction. We can all have Zoom calls, like we are here. Of course we can, and we can build a certain level of relationship, but I don't think it is different. You know what I'm trying to say. It's not.
I'm going to tell you a story.
Oh, please.
When I began in this job, so it was a very long time ago, my first job, first position, my first boss, which has been fantastic with me, really this point. His name was Frank Vidal, maybe. I was eating my lunch in front of my computer, trying to make a phone call, and he came to me, he looked at me. He said, anyone going in the street, pushing the door of the office, coming to your desk, and talking to you in sign language. Well, no. Yeah, so why are you staying here? And it was lunchtime, and he said, you come with me. And I follow him. And in fact, he was going for lunch. And we went for lunch, and he was in bank. So there were several bankers who were eating, and people were chatting about job, clients, and giving advice. And I left the lunch. I came back to the office. It was something like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It was in France, obviously, so lunch is important time. And I had several business cards. And I was like, wow, this is magical. The business has to be like that. And since, I think is a good way to make it.
That's a really beautiful, sweet story. And it's so true. Get out there, because you don't know who you're going to meet. Sit down, talk to people, ask them questions, because you just don't know. I think a lot of people, maybe different generations from us, younger generations perhaps, they're much more used to social media and they're used to their screens and all sorts of things, and they don't really get out. And you can see the impact on people's mental health as well. Obviously, we're talking about. Sorry, Nicola.
Yeah, it exactly. And don't be scared to ask questions.
Yeah,
people, when they like to speak about what they do.
People
they really like it.
They do.
So
yeah. Sorry, after you.
Yeah. No. So when you go to an event, when you see someone on a stand waiting here for maybe 2 days, 3 days, it's exhausting.
Yep.
Don't be scared to say, hey, what do you do? What is your business? How do you work with your client? They really like it. They begin to enjoy to speak about it, and don't be scared to speak with people. That is really true advice.
That's such good advice. I'd say that's the best advice, because you don't know what you're going to find. You don't know what information you're going to find. You don't know the person that you're going to find. That could be the next big deal. It could be, it could be all sorts of things. It could be a husband. It could be a wife. Who knows? But you just don't know. So no, get out there. It sounds like is the piece of advice. Thank you. Well, this is a similar question. So having created partnerships for a lot of your career, what are your top tips when it comes to creating high-performing teams and winning cultures?
It can be strange like that, what I'm going to say, but it's result. Why and what do I mean by result? Here again, I don't speak about commission, revenue scheme. I speak about how are we going to deploy successfully
Yeah.
When you build a team and when you build a department based on the partnership franchise, when you begin to sign the first contract, it is how are we going to deploy successfully to make the team perform. Signing a contract, if everything is collapsed behind, the marketing is not well done, the process operation is not well done, the team very quickly is going to say, all this work, look, it doesn't work. And the mood, the atmosphere in the team begin to get down, and here is beginning to be tricky to manage the performance. If you want high performance, make sure as a leader, when it's going to happen, you have liaise with all the other people in your company, cross-functional organization, who is doing the contract, who is doing the pricing, who is doing the marketing, who is doing the selling, operation, boarding. Everything is clear, everything is processed. The first come, everything go down to the process. Your team is going to be rewarded because they can get back to the partner saying, you see, what we discussed work. And here you begin to generate something.
That's really, again, excellent advice, and it's because a lot of commercial people typically will focus on getting the contract signed, get the contract signed, get the contract signed, get that, that's what's exciting, and they don't focus as much on the deliverables within the contract, particularly the support areas within the organization, as you say, such as marketing, such as finance, such as customer success, that need to also be part of that. Well, they're also part of that, but the commercial organization, in this case the partnerships team, or in your case the franchise and introducers team, getting the entire organization on board before is going to lead to much higher motivation within your team, because everyone can see that the rest of the organization is there to support and deliver. So it's brilliant advice, because it so often isn't the case. Why do you think it isn't always the case?
Maybe because for a lot of people, a contract signed is the end of the journey.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yes. And no, we need as a seller team to take the ownership about everything which is going to make the partnership, franchise, this contract being successful. That is very important. We cannot say, I signed, I drop it, and next. That doesn't work. And quite often is something which is done, I don't know why.
It's an interesting one. It's interesting. Well, to round us off, one last question, if I may, and I could ask you a lot more questions, but just for today, just one last question. What do you see the future holding for businesses when it comes to creating partnerships with each other? And what, if anything, will you and your team be doing differently?
I think that synergy, alliances, is going to be more and more often discussed. Let's be fair, a lead is expensive. And if we focus only on buying leads, in the way we think partnership, it can be an expensive business. So it is how do we build up other view, other way, other connection to bring something, not generally about money here again, to make it happen. That I think that is going to go further and further and further. And what I will do differently, I think we need to push boundary all the time. When you begin to work in partnership, you have this, I found a partner, I send the contract, we are going to pay commission for something. No, push the boundary all the time. There is something maybe out there where we can discuss about something else, and it's going to be a partnership because you are going to work with someone to create something. So these two.
Well, I think that those two go hand in hand, because leads and new business is getting more and more and more expensive, and therefore it makes sense to go even deeper into existing partnerships and to find out even more about those partnerships and how you can, grow those partnerships together. So I think you're absolutely right. I think that even deeper collaboration between existing partners is going to where we see the business growth. So,
and this kind of partnership also make the attrition lower.
Yes.
because it brings stickiness to the portfolio, to the client. So that is very important.
I think that's exactly what's going to happen. And maybe you could come back in about a year's time, and we can review this and see what our hypotheses are. Well, look, Nicola, thank you so much for joining us on Game Set Match Up. Some tremendous advice.
Thanks for having me, Greg. Thank you.
Well,
We
see
appreciate
you à tout à l'heure. Merci.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining this week's Game Set Matchup. Tune in to hear more about the need to knows and the do's and don'ts when it comes to creating successful business partnerships.